So, today on the challenge, I want to give you one way that I know for sure a lot of us are uh, laboring super, super hard. We're giving energy where energy is not necessary, versus this idea that I've kind of been chewing on, the act of unlaboring, where we don't give energy where it's not necessary, where we aren't trying to be super productive, or we're not being super productive, or people pleasing, or different things like that. Okay. So I can tell you one thing that you are doing if you are a recovering people pleaser: you are putting way too much energy in your responses. You are putting way too much time and care and effort and energy into your responses. Let me explain. So, a few days ago, one of my friends, she and I were texting back and forth, just catching up on life and things like that. And we ended up talking about hair. And she said something, I forget what she said about her hair. And then I responded and said, "Oh yeah, and by the way, by the way, like you're cutting your hair, whereas I took out all my micro locks." Now, if you are not familiar with me, from maybe like September of last year up until very recently, I had micro locks. I wish that I could insert a picture here, but I don't know how to do that. But I had micro locks, about 450 of them, mamma jammas, and I decided to take them out because I wanted to. And so I told her, because she was saying how she was going to cut her hair. And I was like, "You're cutting your hair." And in the meantime, I have combed out every single micro lock. And she replied back and she was like shocked. you know, she was like, "What? What do you mean? Like, I don't even know you right now. What are you talking about? That style was perfect for you. Why'd you do that? You're crazy." Like that kind of thing. Right. And the old version of me, well, actually, let me tell you what I did, because the old version of me actually did kick in. So when she was saying that, I responded and I had started typing out this response. And when I looked at the response, it was like 10 sentences of, "Yeah, girl, well, I did this because blah, blah, blah. And I know that I just put them in, but this is how I was feeling. And I know like just this whole long response." That's when I looked at the text message, this whole long response. So when I think about self-care, when I think about this version of me who is whole and healed, and she doesn't need to people please, or she doesn't need to shrink herself, or she doesn't need to labor and hustle and like, all these things, like I'm actively unlaboring, and unlaboring includes reserving your energy. And a lot of energy is put out when you are people pleasing because you're over explaining. You got to give them the whole story. Like it doesn't even warrant that. It doesn't warrant that. So what I did was I deleted the message and I typed like one sentence. It said something like, what the heck did it say? I don't have my phone here, but it was just one sentence. And it could have been something like, "Yeah, girl, it was time," or "Yeah, girl, I sure did," or whatever. Like she asked me, what are you doing? Why'd you do that? Da, da, da. And I just said, "Yeah, I just felt like it," or something like that. That was the message that she got, versus this long, drawn out thing where I was literally over explaining why and how and when and who. And no, that's not necessary. So, again, when I think about my life and my wholeness, which includes this idea that I've kind of like been chewing on or came up with, unlaboring, which is literally the opposite of what Black women, like, we've been conditioned to do. And I think about unlaboring, it ain't over explaining. It ain't hemming and hawing. It is just being direct. This is what I did, or whatever it is. This is it. Boom. So I deleted it and I gave her one sentence. And that's what she got. And I'm not saying that as in she was pushing me for more. It was like for me. This was for me. It wasn't for her. It was for me. Being okay with giving what you give without over explaining all the damn time. Like that is something I'm working on, because when I think about who I am at my best self, like she knows how to communicate. She has boundaries. She doesn't over explain. She doesn't feel like she needs to justify. She doesn't need to get external validation. She doesn't need to put all this energy into a freaking response or reply that doesn't even warrant it. One sentence. So if this sounds like you, I want you to be mindful in the coming days, weeks, months, whatever this season, of how much energy you are pouring into, in this instance, communication, but it could be anything. But in this, again, in this case, communication, it in situations that do not warrant that. Our energy is so precious. Our energy is so finite. Okay. You don't need to say all the words. You don't need to say all the things. I know that that's not necessarily how we were raised. Like we had to explain ourselves and why to do this and how to do this and when to do this. And I, especially when you thought there was going to be a punishment on the end of that, like you had to really say all the things to make sure that you avoided the punishment. You don't need to do that. So I challenge you, as hard as it may be for you, especially if you feel like this is rude, because it's not. Being able to say what you say without all the words, like it's not rude. It's not. One sentence. Hit them with that. One sentence. That's all they need. And I'm not talking about a super long run-on sentence where you're still squeezing in 10 sentences into one. I'm not talking about that. Literally one sentence. That's it. That's it. So yeah, I sent her the one sentence. I like edited. I took all of that out. I sent her one sentence. And surprise, surprise, we carried on with our conversation. I didn't have to validate. I didn't have to get her approval. I didn't have to uh uh justify, you know. She asked and I told her what I told her and we kept it pushing. That was that. Now I'm not saying that there won't be a time where you won't need to like go into further detail. You know, sometimes we do. But every situation doesn't warrant that. We don't have to make every single interaction so hard, so energy draining, so like, or we're shrinking ourselves or we're laboring so hard to keep up appearances or to not seem mean or uh like whatever the case may be. It's okay to hit them with the one sentence. It's okay. You have your own permission to do that. All right. All right. So that was on my heart. I wanted to share that because it recently happened. And I really was like, girl, you don't need to do all that. So since I had to remind myself that, girl, I don't need to do all that, I'm reminding you too, girl, you won't need to do all that. Okay. All right. I'll see you tomorrow in the next video. Bye.